Hey everyone, this is just going to be a very quick video. It's just to give you the latest updates and progress in regards to animation or storyboarding, as it's known in XAML. So I've got a couple of things to show you. Let's see, I'll open up the theme creator, and the first thing I'm going to show you actually is just a test. And I think at the end of my last video I mentioned that I was going to add some additional animation properties, and those were width. So you can actually animate the width and height of a given UI element. And I was trying to come up with a use case of where you would use it. I couldn't really think of one. However, I came up with graphic equalizers. And then what I did here, because they look random, but they're not. There's a set pattern, and what I've done here is I've applied an easing function of bounce, ease, with an in and out mode to each one of these, and each one I've got different values, different width values applied, and different durations, just to give some difference between each bar. I thought it was kind of a cool effect. You know, if you can't find you know, for whatever reason, let's say you want graphic equalizers on your theme and you're having a hard time trying to find an animated GIF to embed, you can create your own. And so all I used here was a rectangle, 4 rectangles, all of equal size, and then applied a gradient to the foreground, and that's what gives it the effect. All right, so you can animate width and height now. And there was one other thing that I'm starting to roll out, is special properties in regards to easing functions. So as you can see here, bounce ease. Okay, if I select back ease, special properties have gone. I select bounce ease, and number of bounces 3, bounciness 2. So I've included these special properties as well. At the moment, the text boxes, I just need to do a little bit more research to understand, or really to find out what the minimum and maximum values are of these special properties. And then I'll apply either a range value to the right of the text box, or a slider control, depending on how easy, or or depending on the range of values. We'll leave it at that. I don't want to make it too overly complicated, but yeah, I don't know what the ranges are, so I've kind of guessed number of bounces. I've put 0 through 99 at the moment, and bounciness I think I've got 0 through 9. And like I said, it's only because I haven't found out what all the minimum and maximum values are for these things, even on the Microsoft website. So I just need to dig a little bit deeper. All right, so that was fun and games with animating the width. Let's come out of here, and I'm going to go to my test view or test theme, and I did actually want to show off work in progress from a friend of mine, Rincewind's theme, but I completely forgot to ask his permission. So what I did, I borrowed some of the layout from his theme, not completely, but a couple of elements. I've borrowed the location and size and everything, and pasted it into this test view, and I've tweaked up some of the animation that we've worked on together on his theme. So it's not the same, and visually it's not the same as the theme he's currently developing, but I figured this might give you a better look into how these animations can be applied, as opposed to, you know, this test view that I kind of put together and mocked up, just showing off some of the different techniques. So without further ado, let's go into wheel games view. Okay, all right, so what I've actually done in addition to animating width and height, I've actually got the editor now replicating BigBox, and when I say that, it replicates when things are triggered. So for those of you that have created themes and have dealt with some of the binding values that BigBox provides, and they're either active binding values or selected binding values, you'll know exactly where I'm coming from on here. Okay, so all UI elements have a active versus selected property. Okay, and I know I've gone over this in the past, and it might be a lot easier to demonstrate than it is to try and explain it again. Okay, but so what I'll do, the best way to do this, if I add a game clear logo and just put it here, and what I'm going to do, by default they come in as display when active. I'm going to change this one to selected, and I know pretty much everything else on the screen is display when active. Okay, so I'm going to save that. Now on the left hand side, and actually I'm going to choose a different platform. Okay, let me choose GameCube. Okay, so on the left hand side is the game selection. Okay, and I'm going to press and hold the left mouse button, and while I do so, I'm going to just hover over the different games. Okay, now I have not committed to selection. Okay, so this is what would be called selected. All right, in theme creation for BigBox, this would be the selected binding values that are now being passed back. Okay, now when I let go of the left mouse button, I have no artwork. There you go. So I've come to rest on a particular platform, a particular game, and what's showing now are the active binding values. Okay, so now I've actually got a clear separation between selected versus active. So if you're not animating UI elements on the screen, you can actually perform the same test that I just did by scrolling up and down, and if you see items updating when you do this, then you know that you've set their property to selected versus active. Okay, and again, when I just let it go, the active values are now being displayed. Now, it was kind of crucial that I do this now, because it really comes into play for animation. All right, so for example, if I take this video frame, for example, I'm actually using all three triggers. So when the view first pops up, that's fine. Once selected and during selection. Okay, so selected and active is a little confusing, so I didn't want to call it that. I wanted to call it once selected and during selection. Okay, So while you're making a selection, but you haven't committed yet, so as you're scrolling up and down or left and right, either through a platform list or through a games list, that's during selection, okay? And then once you've let go of the controller or you've let go of the cursor keys on the keyboard, you've now committed to a selection, and that's once selected, okay? So that's what's actually going on behind the scenes for those of you familiar with theme creation. Once selected is using the active, and during selection is using the selective bindings. Okay, so that's what's going on. So now that I've actually got the editor separating selective versus active, the editor now shows an accurate representation of what the animation is going to, how the animation is going to perform while it's running in BigBox. Okay, so as you can see here, if I just focus on the games list on the left hand side and just use the cursor keys up and down, I have it so that, you know, I've made my active selection, all the items come in, and during selection they all exit. So now I've got entry and exit animations, or entry and exit animations defined for this test view. And what's really cool about this, if you pay close attention to the CD when it comes in, and even the box that comes down and bounces. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to partially select another game, so the animation will be halfway complete, and then I'm going to quickly select another game, and you'll see the animation go into the exit. It will execute the exit animations, and it's a nice smooth transition. Okay, so as they come in, I exit, it selects the next game, if you're looking at the CD coming in, and then I decide, no, I don't want that one. So it hasn't fully completed the animation sequence, but because it's now invoking the exit animation, that's taken the priority, and that's what it's going with. So I thought that was really cool. And again, I can't take any credit for that. That's Microsoft storyboarding. That's I didn't create that. I'm just building the code to invoke it. But again, I thought it was kind of neat of how it all comes into play here. All right, so let's see. I'm going to publish. And I'm going to leave the theme creator up because I want to show you another trick. Okay. And I've deliberately left the Game Clear logo in the top middle of the section because I just want to show you guys a neat little trick on this one. So I'm going to open up BigBox. Okay, cool. Let's pick a CD-based system. Anything really. Let's go with Wii for now. And we're in the vertical games view. And as you can see, yes, we got the Game Clear logo in the top middle there, or middle-ish. But I don't want it. So I'm going to exit that view. I'm not going to exit BigBox. I'm going to flip over to the creator, go into the editor, highlight the Game Clear logo, delete it, save it, publish. It's going to complain because it knows the folder is in use and some of its media elements. I'm just going to say ignore. What this will do is replace the views. So it would have generated all the XAML code for all the views and then push those views to the themes folder, overwriting whatever was there. Now I can hop back to BigBox, go back in, and there you go. No Game Clear logo. It's gone. All right. So that's a trick. I mainly use that trick when I'm messing around with the properties regarding wheels. If I'm doing something outside of the defaults that I've got with the assist, and I'm playing with spacing and sizing of the selected image, that's what I tend to do. I kind of bounce back and forth because I don't have a wheel showing the images and spacing and what have you within the theme creator, because that control is not mine. That's the only way I can do it, is kind of tweak it in the theme creator, publish, Alt Tab, and run BigBox, and then I can have a look at the values here. So for those of you that weren't aware that you could actually do that, it should save you a ton of time, especially if you're messing around with a lot of properties regarding the wheel. But so again, you know, this is in BigBox, and as I'm scrolling through the games, you can clearly see as I'm scrolling, and then come to rest, all the items come in. So yeah, I'm quite happy with how the theme creator is dealing with these different triggers now. It didn't take me a long time to do it. It was just one of those things that I know it needed to be done, but if you weren't dealing with animations, it really wasn't that important at the time. Now it's super important. So now you have the clear separation of what gets invoked when, which is really cool in my mind anyway. I'll just go through a couple more. And again, the way that this particular view has been configured, it's primarily for CD-based media. And obviously, if you want to have something different for cartridge and or non-CD, non-arcade type media, then you know, you can perform the configuration tweaks that I kind of outlined in my last video, having a cartridge rocking, or you can have it just bouncing up and down, whatever you want it to do, fading in and out, pulsing, that kind of thing. But all in all, you know, there's obviously not a great deal of UI elements on the screen, but for the ones that are present, they're all being animated, and I think it looks pretty clean. The one thing that you may not see, it's very, very subtle, is the bokeh, or the whatever you want to call it, the red, orangey wallpaper behind the Gamebox CD and the wheel. That's got an animation on it too. It's expanding and contracting in both width and height. It's very subtle because it's very slow, but it is being animated. So you know, pretty much everything is being animated on the screen here, and it's very clean, very smooth, and very fast. Yeah. halfway through the animation, part the way through, change of mind. I mean, that's how I would expect it to work. It hasn't fully finished its animation sequence and you decide to select another game. There you go. It's now executing the exit animation sequence. And it didn't take me that long to put this together either. Probably took me less than an hour. Okay, well, I did promise you a very quick video, quick update on the progress. I have added, or I've allowed more and more UI elements to be animated now. I'm not going to run down through the list. I still have about 30 or less than 30 UI elements that I need to define within the theme creator, so it knows you know, how to animate these things, or how it needs to build the code for those UI elements, I should say. That should be done. That should be done by hopefully the end of next week, and then the end of next week I'll run through you know, all the UI elements, making sure that they all animate correctly. It gives me time to research special values for the ease-in functions, and you know, if I have time, then I can apply those properties as well, and the range values to the right-hand side of the text boxes, and then really just put the animation editor, kind of tweak it up a little bit. There's a couple of few enhancements I wish to make to the editor, just so it's a little bit more user-friendly. Copying and pasting a single frame, or copying and pasting an entire sequence of frames from itself to itself, or from itself across to another UI element, or another UI element in a different view, or another UI element in a different theme, that kind of thing. So those are the kind of things that I want to have in place before the end of next weekend. And then at that point, I'll either do a live stream. Actually, I'll probably do a live stream, because there's some other things that I wish to discuss. Yeah, there are some other things that I wish to discuss before I move on to the next and final enhancement, or final feature, I should say. So yeah, I'll put out a notice that I wish to do a live stream, and hopefully, you know, the theme creators will join, because you know, I value their input. And one in particular, he's given me a whole list of nice to haves, and I haven't forgotten. But in order to do it, and to do it efficiently, there's a lot of pre-work that I need to do, and that's one of the things I wish to kind of discuss on the live stream. So the live stream will really kind of introduce the animation enhancement that I've been kind of showing the progress, and then it kind of closes off the animation feature, and then kind of opens up the door for the next feature, but the work that I need to do in order to get to that, before I start work on the next feature. So yeah, so look out for a notification for live stream for next weekend, and I hope you guys can join. Like I said, I'm not building this for myself. I'm building this for whoever wants to build and create BigBox themes. So your input is extremely important. All right, so until the live stream, have a good one. And again, I hope you are liking the progress that I'm making on here. And I'll catch up with you on the next video or next live stream. Thanks very much.